The most engaging, impactful, informative, and entertaining talk show ever. Get ready to hear the voices of many local, state, and national artists, musicians, comedians, pastors, athletes, and politicians. It's time for South Florida Live with Jeffrey Brown.
All right, let's do it. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm your host, Jeffrey Brown. And as we always start out, this is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Hey, come on. We are one. Let's join us on tonight. We are talking finance with the one and only, the lady, Lisa Roger Cherries. So come on, join us on tonight. Facebook, you know what to do. Let's like and share, please. YouTubers, let's do the same. Like and share. Facebook, share this with someone, please. Please, everyone that's coming on, I need you to hit the share button. Please hit the share button for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. At least tag at least 10 people on tonight. Let them know the South Florida Live podcast is on. And we are talking finance. And y'all, guess what? We got a special guest tonight. Now we treat each other in this way. Take with the silly games we play. We got no matter what's Saturday. Oh, we are one. No matter what we do, we are. All right, come on, guys. Join us on this evening. Thank you for those that's coming on. Appreciate it. Showing me some love, showing me some heart. Let's do that. If you're joining us, show me some love, show me some heart. Those that are in the comment section, hey, good evening to you. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Those that are coming on, just say good evening to me. Let me know that you're there and everything is sounding well. All right, we're going to give you 30 seconds because we got a lot to talk about on tonight. So we need time, and we want our guests to have plenty of time to share with us on this evening. 25 seconds. So bad. We got so much. We could have so much fun. The very start, deep down in your heart. All right, come on, guys, join us on this evening. Please like and share this podcast on this evening. I just want to do one thing before we get started. There's an event that's coming next week. There's an event. It's called Get Out the Vote. Get Out the Vote Community Engagement Rally. It's next Thursday, October the 10th, between 6 p.m. to 8. 6 to 8, and it will be at New Birth Baptist Church, Miami, 2300 Northwest 135th Street, 2300 Northwest 135th Street. Oh God, I'm going blank on my church address. 2300 Northwest 135th Street in Miami, Florida. You don't want to miss this. I had one of the organizers on the other night, on Tuesday night, and she was sharing with us how powerful this thing is going to be. And they're going to share so much information on that night that you don't want to miss it. I've been challenging parents and aunts and uncles and cousins to make sure our 18-year-olds are there. Make sure our 18-year-old, 16-year-old, just make sure our young people are there. I told her I love this flyer because it's showing, it's advertising, is showing our young people, which we need them to be engaged, be involved in what's going on when it comes to this political thing and this voting area and where we are now with this campaign. We need them to be involved also on next Thursday, October the 10th, next Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8. They're going to have music, food trucks, giveaways, and much, much more. You do not want to miss it. They're going to really, really impart in you, deposit in you a lot of things that you guys need to know for this upcoming election. So, as it say down the bottom, it was going to educate, motivate, and then we need you to participate. All right. So be a part of this on next Thursday, October the 10th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. All right. Okay, we wanted to hit that real quick. Hey, listen, I'm so excited to have with us again on tonight. She's been joining us for a while and been doing a magnificent job sharing with us and then just making us brighter, smarter, aware of what's going on out there in the financial world. But we got a special guest. I'm going to let her handle that part. But it's that time, y'all. We are talking finance with Lisa Rogers, Terry, my sister. Good evening. How are you doing? Welcome.
Fantastic. How are you?
Hey, listen, I'm doing well. I won't complain. I had a wonderful day today, a productive day today. So thank God for that. I survived today. How about you?
It was a little rough, but we made it.
Oh, that's good. But you survived. You made it.
It's Friday Junior. Friday Eve.
See, it's Friday for me. Yes. Always glad to have you on. I appreciate you for doing this and being a part of this, being my guest on this and sharing so much good information with not just me, but with my audience and my listeners and viewers that join us every week. So thank you again, man. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, let's get started. We have our special guest with us again tonight, man. Listen, this guy came on the other week and just shook the house, made some noise, man. But he opened up some eyes and he made a lot of people aware of what's coming forward in the future, what our future is going to look like when it comes to technology, of how we need to do things, the new ways. So go ahead and let's introduce our guest and we'll bring him on.
My good friend for a long time, Marvin Dejean. He's an expert in the AI, tech savvy, all things new and mind blowing. He's a futurist. I like to say.
Like that.
Yes. Marvin.
There he is.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good
Lisa,
evening, sir.
Jeffrey, thank you for having me back.
Man, you scared us so badly the last time. We were like, okay, let's bring it back again. We're like, oh my God, what we gonna do?
I know. It reminds me of a talk I gave a few years back, and the same thing happened after the talk. Nobody was clapping. It was dead silence. I was like, oh, what happened?
They were pondering over there like,
exactly. Whoa. I scared the heebie-jeebies out of everybody. Yeah, so I know. I apologize.
But it's a good thing. It's a good thing because, like I say, I've been getting some feedback from so many who watched that night, and they was like, "Oh man, thank you for that," because I did not know that was coming and where we was headed. Not even that is here now. A lot of the stuff is here now, is happening now. So so thank you for that. I appreciate that, sir.
My pleasure.
Where are we tonight? Where are we tonight, Madam Cherry? Where are we tonight?
I was thinking with all of the protests at the ports, people have been saying, these people are afraid, the port workers are afraid of automation. And I said, oh, the first time I heard that, I said, let me call Marvin and see what he thinks, because they don't want the machines replacing them. That's a big fear. Right. That's a reality. It's happening. So I said, let me see what Marvin thinks. But let me do my tips first, Jeff, before we jump into the hot water.
Do your thing.
Last week, we did the Financial Tip Friday. And the first one was, don't deny yourself a treat. I've been preaching, cut back, don't do this, don't do that. I had to go back and rethink it. I believe in paying yourself first. And if you do something well, go back and give yourself a treat. Reward yourself. That makes you work harder for the next time. Number 2, celebrate small victories and reaching goals that you've set. I believe in setting goals at the end of the year. And when you set goals and you reach them, celebrate just your victories, even if they're small ones. If you say, I'm going to pay 10 bills this month on time, if you do that, give yourself a prize. Even if you don't pay them totally off, if you pay more than a minimum, reward yourself. Number 3, make saving fun. Have a goal in mind and say, okay, if I save this amount, then I'm going to reward myself with X. It doesn't have to be anything big or glamorous or fantabulous. It could be something small. Just make saving fun. Have an accountability partner. Have somebody who you're competing with. That'll make it more fun. Get your kids involved. Have them save $10, $20. Number 4, put up little reminders. I have reminders on my mirror. I have reminders on my phone. I set reminders for alarms. Put up little reminders of what your goals are. If you want to buy a car, put a picture of a car up. If you want to buy a house, get a nice picture of a house or take a picture of a house or cut one out of a magazine and put up reminders of what you're saving for. And number 5, erase all of the negative voices in your head. I mean, I know we hear things. Sometimes we're like going to the store and say, I should get this. And something says, you can't afford it, or don't get it. You don't deserve it. Erase all the negative thoughts. Treat yourself well. Be kind to yourself. There's a lot going on. People are stressed out. Ignore the negative voices in your head. So those are my 5 tips from last Friday.
All right. Great tip. Especially the one, just ignore folks in your head. Don't just
ignore negative voices.
Ignore them. Block them out. Just block them totally.
That's how you get in trouble. That's how people get misquote scriptures. They go, oh, the Bible says, and that's not
what it said. But I often say this now, and people have a problem with separating themselves from people. And sometimes we understand that the separated life can be not the most famous, not a good thing, but it's needed. Because some people you really may need to separate yourself from and watch the difference in your life when you separate, especially the negative folks.
That's true. No, I agree with that for real. I mean, there's certain people with like negative energy and they just bring you down. I mean, when you see them coming, what was the Charlie Brown character with like the little
with the stuff all around?
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
You say, oh my gosh, here they come. And you know it's going to be something negative, something to bring you down. You help when you can, but try to avoid that if you can.
All right. That's good. Appreciate those tips. You guys heard it right here from the one and only Lisa Roger Jerry. So we want to talk about this what's happening with the longshoremen, because listen. I think someone mentioned about, I think it was you, Lisa, mentioned about the things that the
automation
machines that's taking over the automation, whatever. I got a clip that that's gonna talk about that, and it's when I was watching, listening to it, man. Listen, I see why these guys are doing what they're doing, because these machines are eventually gonna just push them right on out the door. So here's this clip that I found.
World's largest container terminal. Also hailed as the pioneer of intelligent unmanned ports worldwide. This is the world's largest automated container terminal. Also hailed as the pioneer of intelligent unmanned ports worldwide. a colossal feat engineered by China, with a staggering investment of $70 billion. Brace yourselves for the mind-boggling spectacle of the Shanghai Yangshan Deepwater Port, aptly nicknamed the Devil's Dock. Behold, it boasts not just 30 berths accommodating behemoth cargo ships, but also an annual throughput surpassing a staggering 47.3 million standard containers, outshining the combined throughput of all ports in the United States. But that's not all. The entire port operates on the cutting-edge prowess of 5G technology, enabling feats like unmanned navigation, path optimization, and automated obstacle avoidance. Every autonomous guiding vehicle prowling the port is equipped with high-capacity lithium batteries, ensuring a relentless 8-hour operation on a single charge. But here's the kicker. These intelligent beasts come with self-diagnostic capabilities and real-time battery monitoring, ensuring that cargo remains on the move without any hiccups or unforeseen bottlenecks. It's a mesmerizing sight, a meticulously choreographed performance where not a soul is in sight. The whole operation appears to be under the spell of enchantment, an intricate symphony of containers being loaded, unloaded, and seamlessly transferred, all orchestrated by fully automated, intelligent machinery. It's like a marvel straight out of a futuristic blockbuster. From dusk till dawn, 365 days a year, the port operates with unwavering efficiency, resembling a relentless magical force at play. And the cherry on top? This powerhouse's operational prowess has secured its position as the world's top performer for a solid decade. It's undeniable that China's prowess in intelligent technology has emerged as the vanguard force propelling global industrial development. Get ready to be amazed and give a standing ovation to the incredible technological prowess of China.
I really was trying to download this for the video actual, if I can play the actual video just to see how these machines are working just simultaneously. Just no bodies on ground. Everything is run technology.
He said 8 hours on a battery.
Yes.
And look what Shayla just said. The video being shared was narrated by AI.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but this is what Mr. Deshaun was talking about the other week, where we're headed.
So we're talking about the automation, and boom.
Yeah.
Here we are. So Marvin, welcome back, and thank you for coming.
Happy to be back.
I was just like, wow.
I really wish I could have. I was trying to really. Then it was a few seconds before the show started to do this, but I really was trying to get that video clip to show, because the audio was fine. It made its point, but actually to see it's amazing. It is amazing. Now I understand why these guys are fighting for their position to make sure they always have a job, because it seems like it's in China now. But I guess, Mr. Marvin, it'll be coming to the U.S. soon.
Yeah. So listen, look, there's a funny video on I think it's Facebook or YouTube or wherever, and there's this guy with a mop on the beach he's trying to mop up the waves as they come in. And it's supposed to be a funny video to talk about the futility of trying to mop up the ocean, right? And that's exactly the inevitability of technology and automation that's coming our way. It's just it's on its way. It's like, look, back in the 17th century, when human beings used to weave whatever we did, tapestry, clothes, whatever, we did it by hand. And as the Industrial Revolution started coming in around the 19th century, they started weaving machines, and literally people started really rebelling, and it was called Luddites. You know, they would break into the factories and break these machines because they felt like it was taking away their jobs, which eventually it did. It did. But here's the thing. We as a human species, we've been evolving since we showed up on the planet. From the first tool, rock tool that we've been using, all the way to the technology that we use today, we've been outsourcing work from the day one. And we're only going to continue to do that in a much more rapid way. And as the technology grows, it's only going to happen on a faster way. As it relates to the dock workers, there are two things. There are two pressures that are going to make this inevitable right now, that automation is going to come for their jobs at some point, whether now or the next decade, it's going to happen. So number one is exactly what Jeffrey just played, is the fact that China is already on the road. The difference between the US and China is a communist country. It's a one-party country. They don't have to deal with unions. They don't have to deal with people saying they're going on strike. That's not happening. So if they decide to automate their docks, it's going to happen with no. So from a global competitive perspective, China is putting pressure on every other civilized country to keep up with them. It's either that or being left in the dust. So we almost have no choice but to start thinking about automation just to keep up with China if we don't want to lose our dominance in the world. So that's one pressure already that's going to make the U.S. government or U.S. dock workers to really start thinking about automation. The second actual element, which is another pressure point, it's not the only one, but the second major one is, just talking to you guys, I was looking at the news on CNN on my app, and the strike is over. And, they just agreed to give them dock workers a 62% raise.
Wow.
Again, 30% raise, but they got more than the 50% raise that they wanted. But as you can see, right, whether it's strikes, whether it's, more money to workers, more and more pressure is going to be put on these companies for them to look at alternatives, because they won't be able to keep up with all of these pressures, right? So their profit margins are getting smaller. They have to pay workers more. Workers go on strike. Workers get sick. Workers, have other issues. So more and more, that's another pressure. Even though they've won this round, right? It's only going to make employers say, we have got to think about a solution within the next decade of how to actually solve, because we can't keep adding more money to workers. So they're going to find a way to really decrease workers over time, whether it's through attrition, whether it's not hiring workers as they retire and replacing them with automation. The competitive global pressure is too high for businesses and employers not to go towards automation. So it's inevitable. It's like the guy in the ocean mopping the floor. So it's not really, I understand you're trying to slow it down, but really you need to be thinking more, how do we actually really start negotiating of how do we work with machines within the next decade, as opposed to try to say no automation at all, which is a non-starter to begin with.
Marvin, which sectors of the working class do you think will be most vulnerable to automation? I mean, all of us, I think, will eventually, but.
Yeah. I mean, look, the old days, people thought, okay, automation, if I'm a white collar worker, I don't need to think about that. More blue collar workers, like, factory work and whatnot, but that's not the case anymore, right? With the advent of AI, robotics, and automation, RPA, all of these things, like I said last time, the super convergence of these technologies are meeting. And once that nexus happens, then really any job that you are doing that is a repetitive task, right? Or that has quantifiable things to do with it, can be replaced by a machine, and can be replaced by AI, can be replaced by robotics, can be replaced. So I'll give you a simple example that perhaps people don't even think about. Think about, and which automation is coming for, is truckers. Now you would think, okay, a guy is hauling produce, say from Maine all the way to Texas, you would say, look, that's pretty intricate, that's complex. Actually, no, it's not, because look, you have GPS, you have satellite data, exactly, you have the map of point A to point B, exactly how many turns, exactly how many stops. So this can be quantifiable, and AI can really map out this road from point A to point B. And really, it knows exactly when to stop. It has cameras on the truck. If there's a unintended obstruction, say that a train is stopping by, but even the train schedule can be uploaded on AI platform to know exactly what the trains. So really, you would never think that trucking could be something that could be, automated, but it has already begun. So Amazon is already experimenting with driverless trucks, and so many other companies are moving towards driverless trucks. We're already seeing autonomous vehicles like Waymo and others being experimented in California and other places. So all of these jobs that used to be the bastion of human work, but anything that you can think of that is rote work, meaning I do the same thing over and over and over again every single day, more and more that wave is coming for those jobs. And for employers to stay competitive, to maybe do more with less people, to deal with the dearth or the lack of workers that they can't find, they're going to start moving towards automation as a means of solving that problem. And more, we're going to have to redefine what work is.
I see two of my good friends that are on, Cassandra and Sharon, who are nurses. And I mean, that's a big industry, the healthcare industry. And I've seen the robots in the hallways at certain hospitals. So it's coming.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, the study has been done. We've been studying McKinsey, BCG, all the big firms are doing these kind of longitudinal studies all the way up to 2050. And believe it or not, we've actually categorized, as futurists, we've categorized the industries that we think are going to be impacted. And McKinsey has already written that. And you can find that on Google. Believe it or not, some of the one of the industries that is really going to be insulated for a very long time against automation will be healthcare, because simply because when you talk about nursing, when you talk about doctors, really there's that one-on-one and really customized, personalized one-on-one care that takes place, right? That takes place. So we're not going to see a lot of automation taking over healthcare, but what you will see are healthcare robots, healthcare surgeries, like automated surgeries. Like the other day, a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, there was a surgeon in Geneva, Switzerland, doing a surgery using an automated robot out of someone in China. And he was in Switzerland, and the automation using 5G was able to help doctors and do the surgery in China. So you'll see long distance surgery. So you're going to see a lot of innovation in healthcare. But you think, and when it comes to nursing, when it comes to healthcare services, we actually see an uptick in that particular service arena where people are going to retain their jobs. A lot of teachers as well are going to retain their jobs. They're going to bring AI and other automation into the classroom to enhance teaching, but teachers are going to be another area where we see less erosion of work. But whether you're talking clerical work like secretaries, you're talking about truck drivers, you're talking about even construction workers to a certain level because of 3D printing, a lot of these jobs, we're going to see a lot of erosion of these jobs happening within the next decade.
Well, I held out today. I went to the grocery store and I refused to go to the self-checkout. I'm not doing it until I have to. I'm going to the cashier and let them bring up my stuff, even if it takes me 10 minutes longer. And my kids say, "Oh, let's go to the self-checkout." Nope, not gonna do it. It's just taking away from your job.
Well, but look, we talked about this last time. It was just like we talk about the toll workers
Right.
that used to be around, right? We used to stop and give tolls, and all of a sudden they disappeared. I mean, you can easily extrapolate and see the same thing in retail, right?
Mhm.
Especially as biometrics becomes more accepted by the population, whether it's fingerprint or retinal scan, your digital identity, your digital wallet, everything is going to live with you. So you can easily see where that same kind of technology, where you walk into a store and you take whatever you need and you walk out, and
Right.
immediately your bank account is being deducted because they don't need to stop you. It's a not even a stopgap measure, it's a bottleneck more and more,
Mhm.
right? So when you talk about the customer experience, the focus for the customer experience in the digital world is what we call, a frictionless experience, a fluid experience, meaning there's no bottleneck anywhere. I can go into the airport without having to stop and give my passport. I can go into a store, buy something without having to stop. I can go from one state to another and pay my tolls without having to stop. It's called the fluidities. So think of it as like blood flowing through your body. You don't want anything stop-gapping your blood flow. And it's the same thing as the world becomes more connected, the fluidity is going to happen from small transaction to global transactions. So think of the world without, like Europe right now, you can go from Germany to Paris, to France, to Belgium with no stopping at a border, right? It's fluid because it's a common European market. Now extrapolate that on a global scale. I can go to Africa, Canada with no passport because my biometrics is with me and they know exactly who I am, where I'm going, and where I'm going to be every single second. And people are going to give up a certain level of privacy to be able to have that kind of fluidity, and automation and technology is the only way that that's going to be able to take place. So we're just going to gravitate there slowly but surely, just like our iPhones.
Yeah, because some of that I've seen. I'm sorry, some of that I've seen in Walmart, and I've been in the long lines of Walmart, and it burns my fire when I see someone with their stuff, and then they just go through this line. And I'm like, okay, that line open. So I went over there. They was like, no, they already purchased their stuff, and they just had to show us the thing and keep going. And I'm like, huh? And yeah, so
It's frictional.
and it's that in and out, because
It's in and out.
as Americans, as Americans, we don't like to wait anymore. We are very impatient, so we want the in and the out. I go in there, I don't have to stand them long lines. I just do it, scan my stuff on my phone, pay it right there, and just show them my confirmation, and I'm out.
Yep. But I mean, even if you think about it from a logistical or even evolutionary perspective, right? We went from say what 2 or 3 billion people on the planet to now headed towards 8 billion, right? And slowly moving towards 10 billion in a matter of probably less than 500 years, right? There's never been that many individuals on the planet, right? So governments or even governing institution, how do you corral that many people? You can't do it with the old institutions that we had before. So as we continue to populate the planet, technology, surveillance states, biometric, it's the only way to kind of govern that number of people on one planet, and the number of people who are moving from place to place like never before, right? And we haven't even seen the rise of transportation, right? So we're already talking about autonomous flying cars, right? So Uber and all these other, they call eVTOLs, right? So they call eVTOLs, and eVTOLs are just flying taxis, right? Some of them are going to be autonomous. Elon Musk is doing his underground, capacity, high rail capacity that it can get you from San Francisco to LA in a matter of hours, right? So the speed by which people are going to be able to transport themselves from one end of the planet to the next is only going to accelerate. So if you go from 8 billion to 10 billion people, local governance, the institutions that we have right now are just not capable of keeping up with that many people. So we're going to see the rise of biometrics, surveillance, automation, all of these things in order to be able to live in a society with that many people, and just be fluid without any bottlenecks. So we have to prepare ourselves for the loss of these jobs, but also the emergence of new jobs. There's going to be new jobs coming up that people are going to be reskilled, upskilled, or learning. Like the next generation is going to learn an entire new way of doing work, right? So these things are going to create new jobs. And the domain of human beings is really going to be the capability of emotional intelligence, collaboration, collective intelligence, leading teams, being a leader. Those are the things that companies are going to be looking for in people, as opposed to you coming in and being the secretary and doing the same thing over and over again, or being the CFO just crunching numbers, when automation can do that faster, quicker, and better than you. And at the very second, not even last month's numbers, it's going to give you up to the second numbers in the business right then and there. You can't beat that.
What do you think this is going to do to people's mental health, being replaced by a machine? I mean, some people have worked in a career. I know you're not a mental health specialist.
Yeah.
Worked in a career for 40 years and they had 10 years or 15 years to retirement, and they've just been replaced by a robot.
Yeah, I mean, so look, the best analogy I can tell you, think about all the people who work in the typewriter industry, right? Mm-hmm. When computers came, the typewriter industry just totally disappeared overnight, right? So it's either you learn how to use, Microsoft or, whatever, and jump on that new bandwagon, or, you go by the wayside with the typewriter. So look, the thing about us as a species is amazing. We are a species who always strive for things to remain the same as much as we possibly can. We like stability, but we live in a world that's never been stable. I mean, all it does is change. And really, as a species, we create these stories of that. No, things will always, or I want to go back to the old way. Things never go backwards. Things continuously evolve. And if you don't have a very curious mind and a mind that says, I am continuously learning something new, especially today, you're basically saying, I want to be part of the dinosaur clan because things are just moving faster than they've ever done before. So for some people, it's inevitable and they can't change, or they don't want to change, and you're going to have to make that decision. And other people, they're going to say, well, look, I'm going to go where things go. And then for the next generation, they're not even going to question that, because that's just the way things are for them, right? They're just going to learn.
I'm laughing, Marvin, because I refuse to do the face identification on my phone.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I mean, I can see me being asleep and somebody holding the phone up to my face and going, ha ha, now I have all your information. I'm in your,
oh my God.
No.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Well, you know what? It's the funny thing about that, Lisa, is my son won't do it. And he's a millennial.
Really?
I'm so surprised. Yeah. He be like, Dad, I'm not doing that face thing. Because they're going to get to know all your information by doing now him as a millennium. He is that part of the technology part. He's not fooling me.
But Jeff, guess who has it? My mom. My mom.
Your mom has the faith. Oh.
I'm like, what are you? She's putting the phone up. I was like, what are you doing? She goes, oh, I have Face ID. I was like, what? And I don't have it. I'm not doing that. Not yet.
Easy
Yeah.
access. That way she don't have to worry about remembering her
Remember the code.
password and
Right,
her
right.
code and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
But
what a
I
lot
mean,
of people do. Yeah.
But remember, like, you know, I talked about this last time I was on the show. It's a double-edged sword. Everything that human beings create is a double-edged sword, right? So there's what they're going to sell us. Yes, there are some positive effects of this new technology, right? For people who can't remember their passwords, the safety issue. I mean, there's so many benefits to it, but there's also a dark side. There's also a side of, you know, the loss of privacy, you know, and as a species, we've always, you know, relied on a certain level of privacy, maybe less so in the old days, but more so today. But then what are we willing to give up for that kind of fluidity and that kind of, you know, of able to live in a society where people know everything about you, but your life is, I mean, the quality of life and in terms of survival is just go from here to there. What I mean by that is, you know, nowadays we go to work to pay the bills, to pay the light bill, to pay clothing. I mean, we just have to survive, right? Now that angle is just going to go downwards, right? So as automation takes place and technology takes place, you know, making clothes, building a house, making food preparation or agricultural at a massive scale. Once the machines take over doing these kind of work for us, it's going to be done at a massive scale. So you can see where, you know, loss of people not being homeless or less people going hungry because they can make synthetic food. You're going to live in a world that is completely different than what we know today. And a lot of things that we are struggling with today may disappear within the next 50 to 150 years. But
Yeah.
there's a trade-off. There is a trade-off. And more people, once we reach the tipping point that people are willing to make that trade-off, it's a brand new world, completely different.
Marvin, can you give me a few things that may become new and innovative majors in college? I mean, I know computer science was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I guess it'll be AI or strawberry or as a major.
Yes. So look, I mean, look, you know, the other day I was doing a talk at FIU, and you know, and I was presenting jobs of the future. You know, there's going to be jobs of the future, things that are emerging because the new technology is here and these old jobs disappear. So think about you know, the mom and pop store back in the old days, and when Walmart or the Home Depots came around, right? It just everybody stopped going because the price was competitive. You found everything you wanted there. So it's the same thing. As the technology becomes more and more proficient, all of these old jobs are going to disappear, but there will be new jobs. So think about, so think about a job like collective intelligence officer, right? CIO right now stands for, someone who is in computers or who runs the technology side of a business, but a CIO might be a collective intelligence officer of the future. So as human beings learn how to work with machines, right? One of the biggest assets for companies is going to be the collective intelligence of people and machines inside the organization. So as an organization or company is trying to accomplish something on a global scale or in a project, they want to better understand who they have. So having, the assessment, mental acuity, or even the capacity of each individual inside the organization, and being able to put them into specific teams with specific machines that can accomplish specific jobs. That'll be a job of a CIO, to be able to say, for this project, when I look at who I have as terms of team members, Lisa, Jeffrey, Marvin, completed with AI, can get this project done 99% better than if we had them doing it by themselves, right? So that's a CIO job, for example. Another one might be the digital, someone who handles all the digital footprint of all the workers inside an organization. as we focus on sustainability, for example, inside an organization, being able to realize how much digital waste or digital footprints that everybody is outputting inside an organization, that might be the job of, a chief data ecologist, right? To kind of figure out what kind of footprint and sustainability, carbon footprint, or digital footprint that a company is outputting, and then keeping that footprint at a certain level that is mandated by the government. Those kind of new jobs are just emerging. So as AI, as blockchain, as IoT, as these things start making their way into a commercial structure, these new jobs are going to become emergent, because companies are going to say, hey, we need these, and we need people or workers who know how to do this. So even academia themselves are going to have to start changing their curriculum to be closely resemble or shadow what companies and employers need, as opposed to doing things like accounting and, STEM, generalized stuff. They're going to have to get much more specific as to what they're training people into being capable of doing.
I think I like that title, the chief data ecologist. So
chief data ecologist. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I belong to a group out of California called the Institute for the Future, and that's what they do, is they study these trends. And they came out a couple of years back with jobs of the future. It was a card of at least a dozen new jobs that they've extrapolated. They said these are possible new jobs that are going to emerge within the next couple of decades. And you can easily see those things happening, because the technology is really moving in that direction.
Marvin, one more time. I know you touched on it the last time you were here, but tell us what Strawberry is. I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, so Strawberry is the latest version of OpenAI's ChatGPT. So OpenAI has been coming out with different versions of ChatGPT within the past couple of years since it came out. So it was obviously the basic model ChatGPT 3.0, then it went to 3.5, then they went to ChatGPT 4, then they went to ChatGPT 4.0, and then they went to, now they have ChatGPT 0.1, which is in preview, and they also they had nicknamed it Strawberry. The difference between Strawberry and ChatGPT 3.5 is miles apart, because the amount of data with which it's trained has been 100x, right? Now, Strawberry, what it does is it takes a much longer time to think about the questions that you're asking it. So it has the capacity to really analyze questions that you're asking and really thinking deeply, and give you a much deeper and much more intense answers than what 4.0 or 3.5 used to do. So the capacity of AI, of ChatGPT, is just increasing with each version that they're releasing. So Strawberry was the nickname that they had called it when it was under wraps, but it's 0.1, ChatGPT 0.1 or 0.1, and they nicknamed it Strawberry, and its computational power is much greater than any of the versions that they have so far. So it really thinks deeply, it does analysis, and it can pretty much answer any kind of math, geometry, any kind of analysis question that you might have. Strawberry is much more capable of giving you much deeper and much less hallucination than the earlier versions.
So Marvin, what keeps students from using all these things? And I mean, I'm sure they do. How do teachers know that they're not using ChatGPT or AI to do the homework, to write papers, to do anything?
So listen, I mean, I'm gonna go straight back to that analogy of the guy with the mop and the bucket, and you're fighting inevitability. It's not possible. Look, you can say, look, we're banning AI. We have platforms that let us know that you used AI. Look, it's really the only way that you start really knowing that a child used AI is like if the child just used AI and just copied and pasted and turned in the homework, right?
Mm.
It's pretty easy to find. But look, if you ask a child now to just write a thesis or write something about a particular book that they've read, whatever. Look, it can go on ChatGPT, it can go on Gemini, it can go on Claude, anything. Find a copy of that book, a version of that book online, upload it on Chat, or ask Chat to look at that particular topic and write me a synopsis of this paper, right? A 500-word paper on this particular book. And then all they have to do is really just, if they want to, is just go take that paper and rewrite it, reorder it, maybe add a few sentences of their own to it. And there's practically no way for a teacher to know whether or not this was generated by AI. So the point is, stop trying to fight something that's inevitable. What you need to do is really, again, reframe your thinking as a teacher. The teacher of the future is not saying don't use technology. Is really your reframing is, how do we help children think much more singular with the information that they have? How do they connect the information that they have with existing information to have a much bigger, wider field of intelligence, understanding, and capabilities? You're not teaching 1 + 1 anymore. You're teaching, if you know what 1 + 1 does, what can you do with 1 + 1? Can you build a tower? Can you build a flying car? Can you, solve the world's problem using 1.1? You don't need to know what 1 + 1 is anymore, because that's what the machine is there for. But you, as a human, you need to say, okay, the machine tells me 1 + 1 = 2. What can I do with that 2? Can I go connect that 2 with someone else who just learned that 3 + 3 = 6? Now that 2 and that 6, when we put it together, what can we create? That is the promise of human beings. Our capacity to create things when we collaborate at a massive scale. That is a different world. That is the imagination, that's collaboration, that's collective intelligence of human beings plus machines operating at a level that we've never seen on this planet before. So stop thinking that you're trying to teach kids 1 + 1. Those days are quickly coming to an end. Teach kids, what do they do with 1 + 1? What else can they create?
We've had calculators. I mean, we've always had calculators, but they say, figure it out. Go up to the board, and you can't take your calculator up to the board.
I agree to a certain extent. Look, are there certain things that I think we should know as a species? Yes, because look, there's a certain level extinction probability once we start forgetting how to do some certain survival skills. That, to me, that's, again, double-edged sword, right? So if we depend on that technology, it's just like, you walk out of your house without your cell phone. What's the first thing that you do? Make a U-turn and go back home. Yeah, and go get that cell phone. I can't live without my cell phone. Well, yeah, you can, because there's been times where cell phones didn't exist. But now we're so attached to it that we can't see or light a day without our cell phone, which is crazy, right? But, let's just say the grid falls apart tomorrow. What are you going to do? Right? Can you figure out how to get to the north, to the south? Can you figure out somebody's number to call? Can you go from point A to point B without Google Maps? There's a certain extension level understanding or knowledge that goes away once we start outsourcing all of our knowledge to technology. That's a scary thing to do.
That's like the people at the cashier who give the change. They give you $15 and they go, oh, wait, I have a quarter. And it throws the cashier off. She's like, wait, I don't know how to do it, because she's already put in.
I don't know how to do it. You get lost. And it's a very scary thing, because, you have to give kids basic knowledge. But, you can easily see a world where a few people retain that basic knowledge, but everybody else, from the majority of people, just have forgotten what it means to do, basic arithmetic, because they've never had to do it for decades, right? Because
and remembering telephone numbers. I don't remember anybody's telephone numbers anymore.
I was going to say that, because back in the day, we we didn't have, you know, anything like this. So we had to remember telephone numbers. And that made us, I mean, I think for me, I know it made me remember numbers even better because that helped me a little bit in math. But now you don't have to do it. You just,
Yeah.
you know, everything is just instant. So we've gotten to, so that's kind of the question I want to ask. Have it made us smarter or a little, you
Dumber?
know, yes.
Both. It's both. Yeah, no, I mean, look, we're gonna become increasingly smarter as a species because the technology is just going to be that scaffold that just imagine. I mean, you already have it now. Just that phone in your hand, you have access to practically any single question that you have in your head right now. You can get it pretty much answered. Before if a kid came and our children came and stumped us with a question, we're like, I'll get back to you. You know, you have to go to the encyclopedia, go ask somebody else, now, you know,
Yeah.
Google, chat.
Yeah.
I mean, you have access to more information in your hand than the entire human population ever had at one time on planet Earth. That's incredible power, right? Same token, it makes you dependent on this thing. If it gives you false information, if it breaks down, if it decides it's not going to give you information, you're completely lost, right? I remember a couple of months ago, I had to go see a client and the AT&T network dropped. Like I had no access to my phone. And I had to get to the client's office and I had no GPS. And I'm like, I have no idea how to get to this client. I was like sitting in my car and thinking, this is crazy. I don't know how to get to this client without Google Maps, right? Even if they told me, oh, remember the old days, you know, okay, go, you know, get off exit 69, make a left, you're going to see the 3rd Street, right? Even that is just like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's just like, right? Thank God for me. The only way I got to my client is the GPS that happened to be in my car. So I was able to put the address of GPS in my car. But again, how dependent are we becoming on the technology? So much so that we can't even go from point A to point B. That's a very dangerous place to be as a species to me.
And me personally, I try to not always use the GPS. I try and just figure out, because I know I had worked for Coca-Cola some time back, way back before I started with the Broward County Schools, and I was doing the delivery truck. And back in that day, we didn't have GPS. So we had to know the addresses. We had to know how to, you know, the avenues and the streets and the you know, the courts and that stuff. And so now I say, God, I don't forgot that. And so now every now and then I'm like, I'm not using GPS. I'm gonna, you know, go by streets and that kind of stuff, try and do it that way. And I do okay sometimes. And then there's been time I say, okay, let me pull over and put the address, in. And So
you know,
a lot have changed.
The one thing I always caution us is we need to know ourselves better as a species, right? So we need to know our strengths and our weaknesses. And one of the major weaknesses for us as a species is that we have short-term memory. There's a lot of stuff that we don't remember. We don't have long-term memory, which is why as a species, we keep making the same mistakes over and over again, right? We keep having, major world wars. We keep having, massive famine. We keep having, pandemics, right? Because we have short-term memory. The minute that, there's enough time that goes by, we've completely forgotten what the impact has been. So you can easily imagine, as we give up a lot of the basic knowledge that we have to technology or to governments or to certain small groups of corporations, we are really putting the noose around our necks and saying we are giving up of our power and our self-accountability to others who can manipulate, who can withhold, who can do so many things, because we've forgotten the basic knowledge of, being able to find a simple street or being able to do 2 + 2. So again, these technologies are great. They're always going to sell us the great side of the technology. This is great for parents. This is great for teachers. Yes, that is very true. But everything is a double-edged sword. So as we go into these kind of new ways of doing things, we should also take a pause and say, are we willing to give up this much for that kind of a lifestyle? So we need to live in a certain world where there's equilibrium and not extremes, right? It's either no technology or all technology. There's a world where both can coexist, where we still retain our humanity, but we can do it with technology still helping us to become smarter and lead the way. So that's always what I'm preaching.
That's an excellent cutoff point. I mean, we can talk about this all night and forecast the future and go, oh my goodness, but it's here, it's coming, it's upon us. And I'm going to be a chief data ecologist. We got to embrace this. I mean,
I agree.
No.
One of my friends has been telling me to look at Chat GPT, and I'm like, I'm not doing that because I'm an author. I wrote a book, and I think that's cheating, But that's the way life is. That's the way of the world now. Everybody's using it. People are using it for everyday things, writing letters, whatever. So,
Lisa, quick anecdote. I know we're finishing, right? The other day, I had so much work to do. I was with a client. We had a session, and I was doing an assessment. I just did it, on the computer. I was exhausted. I just couldn't. I'm like, for me to write up a report and send. I just threw the document on ChatGPT. The report that it generated was the most. I wouldn't have generated.
You're like, oh, this is good.
I was like, there is no going back. There is no going back. Yeah. I really had one of those moments where the world just shifted on its axis for me.
Really?
This is a moment where I'm gonna remember. I don't know how old I'll be when I die, but I will remember this moment, like when the world shifted on its axis and technology just went off.
But I believe that's the purpose of it. That technology, that's the time to use it when like you were overwhelmed and you had other stuff. Okay, let this do this while I'm doing this. So that's one thing. So hey, once again, thank you so much, brother, for listen. This has been another amazing night of education on technology. But yeah, I truly believe that, and we can use the technology, but just not. I heard you say something that we can use the technology, but don't forget who we are. Still, kind of maintain as a human as who we are in the same set. Learn from it, use it, but also don't just get caught up too far up in it. Because I know I told my son, don't bring another B in math another C in math when he was in high school, because we Googled the whole formula and it gave the breakdown and everything and the answer. So I tell boy, listen, don't you dare. No more D's.
My friend Cassandra is smart. She says she tried Chat GPT and it gave her same word. So I'm gonna call Cassandra when I need a paper or something written. My friends are smart.
She said,
it's
and it gave her same word. So listen.
And
Marvin, thank you so much. This is amazing. And Rose has been using Chat GPT and AI for almost a year now. And she's like, Lisa, try it. I'm like, nope. I was like the little girl, do it for the vine. I ain't gonna do it. Do it for the vine.
You don't give in eventually. You'll give into it eventually. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
You have the mop, Lisa, on the beach. Trying to mop up the beach.
I want to thank you for joining us again, Marvin. You were amazing. And I appreciate all of our family and friends for coming on and learning something new. Every time I talk to you, I learn something new. So I'm going to keep talking to you.
Yes.
And when I become a chief data
anytime.
ecologist,
Have me
I'm
on.
gonna take you to lunch. When I become the chief data ecologist, I like to
I can't wait.
Hey guys, thank you once again for everyone that's tuning in. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Marvin, for being with us with the South Florida Live podcast on this evening. Once again, every time you come on, Lisa and Marvin, you make us smarter. So we want to just say thank you. Appreciate you guys coming on tonight. Thank you. Hey, listen, y'all, you've been locked into the South Florida Live podcast with my special guest, my host, rather, my co-host, Lisa Roger Cherry, and our special guest, Mr. Marvin Deshawn. Listen, we want to thank you. Listen, I know you guys learned so much, right? Great combo, new job. I mean, every time he come on, he gives us more and more. I appreciate it. And I want to thank him for coming on and finding time in his busy schedule to just be a part of this broadcast and once again make us smarter. Hey, y'all, thank you for joining us on this evening. Don't forget, every Thursday, this is what we get. This is what we give every Thursday at 7 p.m. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. Join us right here. Is Talking Finance with Lisa Roger Cherry on the South Florida Live podcast. Once again, I always thank everyone. If you want to be a support to this podcast, I really appreciate it. Cash App, $ Power of Glory 777, $ Power of Glory 777, and Zelle, Jeffrey Brown 2094 at gmail.com. Jeffrey Brown 2094 at gmail.com. That's Jeffrey Brown, JEFFERY Brown at 2094 at gmail.com. Once again, thank you for everyone joining us. And let's stay engaged. Once I told you about this event on next Thursday, October the 10th, get out the vote. Community engagement rally. You don't want to miss it. Be a part of this great event next Thursday, October the 10th at 6 p.m. From 6 to 8 at the New Birth Baptist Church Cathedral Faith International at 2300 Northwest 135th Street in Miami, Florida. Be a part of that on next Thursday. God bless you. Hey, listen, as we always say, hey, I'll pray for you. You pray for me. And let's watch God change things. God bless you.
Email your idea for show topics to the South Florida Live Show at gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in to South Florida Live with your host, Jeffrey Brown.